Hi, I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Wellness Revolution podcast. Today, we have a special guest. We have Diana Pena with Myriam Hemp on the show. And she has been in the CBD business for 11 years. Before she was in the CBD business, she was in the high THC production business as well. So I believe she has quite a bit of information on THC, CBD, and you said CBG as well. Is that
I
correct?
mean, we carry a broad range of different cannabinoids.
Gotcha.
Yeah, CBG is one of them, but there's others that we also carry that have become more popular, becoming a little bit more mainstream in the last few years.
Awesome. So Diana is going to share her vast knowledge on CBG and all the cannabinoids she has been exposed to and the benefits of them. So this should be a really high time type of a show. So so anyway, welcome to the show, Diana.
Thank you for having me. I
You're,
appreciate it.
you're welcome. So you have a really heartfelt story of how you got into this business. Can
Mhm.
you share with the audience what has you
Sure.
get into this?
Yeah, so in 2006, 2013, actually, my mom was diagnosed with a glioblastoma, which is, for those, a lot of people that don't know, it's the most aggressive form of brain cancer, found mostly in adults. And so from the beginning, we were given a pretty um, poor prognosis with her, and this was also due to the fact that her tumor was also inoperable. And so when we got her prognosis, we were told, she's not going to live long. Chemo and radiation are just going to extend her life maybe a little bit more. But it was devastating. And so my mom, who was a very big believer in plant medicine, she used to use uh, probably like an internal medicine doctor or something like that, who she used to go to for not for her cancer, but this was previous to her cancer, other women's issues and things like that. She actually had her regular doctor, and then she had like a doctor that she would go to. And I remember my mom would make these teas and herbals and all this stuff. So I knew that my mom believed in plant medicine. And so what I did is initially I started researching clinical trials, because people were like, oh, you should look into clinical trials. Well, there wasn't anything available for her type of brain tumor, or really any brain tumors at that time. There wasn't anything that I could put her into. And so in doing that, I started researching alternatives. And I came across a study that was done in Spain, where they took these rats, they injected these rats with actually her specific type of brain tumor. And then what they did is they injected the tumors with THC oil. And they saw that the THC was killing the tumor. So I said, oh my gosh, like I need to give my mom some marijuana. And so I started researching. I came across a group on Facebook. At the time, the group only had maybe a few hundred people. Now the group has, I don't know, probably over 100,000 people in it. So very small group. I became friends with the person who admins the group, who actually really helped launch Myriam's. Um, I give him a lot of credit for helping us kind of get the company going. But anyways, I became friends with people in the group. They said, here's this video. You got to give her this Rick Simpson oil. So they sent me this YouTube video, which shows, you get some marijuana plants, and you just boil it and all this stuff. Anyways, so I started making her. I watched the videos a few times, taught myself how to make this oil for her. And so I started extracting the oil for my mom. So that's why we started initially with high THC, because that's what I was initially giving my mom. And so then the way that it just became into I guess, a business or a company is, at this time, this was 11 years ago, medical marijuana existed in California, but there wasn't The only thing you can really get from the delivery services that were available was flour or hash, shatter, but that's not what you wanted to give a person that was going through cancer. They didn't carry the extract, the oils at that time. And so if you wanted to use them, you had to make them yourself. And it was a very long process. It makes your whole house smell when you do that. So that wasn't feasible for a lot of people. So people were coming to me saying, can you show me how to make it? Or can you sell it to me? Well, I couldn't sell it to them because that wasn't legal for me to do at the time. And so because I was just getting such an influx of people asking for this, I went to my partner at the time, Jeff, he's actually one of the other owners. And I showed him my messenger and I said, there's all these people that want this oil. I think there's something here that we can help other people. So we went to a lawyer, a cannabis lawyer in California, talked to him, and he initially helped us set up a medical marijuana collective, because that's where you could obtain the products from in California if you had a doctor's medical marijuana recommendation. And so this was maybe about a year and a half before the whole CBD explosion happened. So we were already making a lot of high THC oil, and then eventually we started making high THC tinctures, which are still used now very much in all over the country now, I guess. But anyways, and so because of my mom's story, and because of the people that were buying this from us were people, mainly a lot of brain cancer customers, because I was also in a couple brain tumor groups. But I knew, I knew a little bit, I had learned a little bit about the dosing and how much I was giving her and all that stuff. So I was just getting a lot of people coming to me asking for help. And luckily, we also connected at the time with a couple of the only medical professionals, a couple nurses and doctors that were working with cannabis. Because back then, most doctors just thought you were crazy, or it was snake oil. There just wasn't a lot of medical professionals that were using this or believed in it. And so luckily we got connected because we were in California, and these doctors and nurses were in California as well. And we were also one of the only medical marijuana collectives that were making this oil, but we were testing it. We were, from the very beginning, we believed in making very clean product. And so kind of word got around, and, we started getting referrals and having nurses send us people. So from the beginning, we always were very medically focused, I guess you can say. And so we did that for a few years. The company kind of grew that way, making connections with different medical professionals and just word of mouth, really. And in 2016, when the recreational laws came into California, unfortunately, it kicked out companies like us because of the way that they wanted to structure for us to operate. It didn't make any financial sense for us to stay in the market. We, just to give you an example, like we had a 10 milligram THC tincture that we would sell to a customer as a medical marijuana collective for like $30, right? So it's a pretty low dose. It's 10 milligrams, it's not that much, but it was a popular product that we had. A lot of people used it. In the recreational market, so for us to sell it now, we had to go through a whole chain of command, from seed literally to sale, to put it on a shelf in a dispensary. It would go for us to just break even. So this isn't even us making a profit as a company or anything like that, and also not allowing us to give our customers any kind of discounts or anything like that. That particular 10 milligram $30 tincture, once it was on the shelf at a dispensary, they would have to sell it for about $120.
Whoa.
Yes. So
Government will mess up everything.
yes. So that's really the gist of where and how.
So is that why you moved to Vegas?
Well, not initially, but that's why we converted to a hemp company,
Mm,
because we had to get rid of, we knew that, okay, we had to phase out all of our THC products. But luckily, we had a very big following of customers that were using our CBD products. And to be honest with you, once we started coming out with other cannabinoids, those cannabinoids helped replace CBG. I'm sorry, helped replace THC and THCA, which was very popular.
mhm.
Because these other cannabinoids can work just as well or even better. For a lot of people, the fact that they can get a product that was doing similar things as THC, but it wasn't getting them high, was amazing. So in a way, not that it was great that we had to get rid of those products, because a lot of people, it was really difficult to phase those out. It took us a while because
Okay.
there's so many people that were using them for epilepsy and cancer and
Yeah.
things like that. So they had to figure out, like, okay, where are we going to get these from now?
So when you were giving your mom that high dosage of THC, was she just baked all the time, or?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. And I know that sounds bad, but when you see the before and after of the results of that MRI that we
Hmm.
did this side by side, it was incredible. It really, really was incredible. And remember, this was before there was any kind of research, really, besides just what they were doing in Spain and Israel. But there wasn't really that much to go off of. So we didn't know what potency to what was working, what dosing. This was completely blind. It was just like, really what happened was in November when they stopped her chemo,
Hmm.
I said, it scared me because they're like, we're gonna, let her rest. And I'm like, yeah, but I felt like the chemo maybe was kind of keeping the tumor at bay. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna give her a bunch of this oil. Um, and she was, but what happened was, because she was on steroids, my mom was also eating a lot. So the fact that she had a really big appetite helped her tolerate the oil.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not like she was knocked out and sleeping all the time. She just looked high, like her eyes were always kind of red, and she's kind of little, like just chilled out a lot.
Well,
Um, but I didn't care because I knew, like, we started noticing that she was getting better. I remember, like, around December, we're like, okay, she hasn't had any chemo and she's doing great. She's walking, she's fine. Okay, she's totally okay. And then did I feel bad about giving her that much? I mean, a little bit, because I can imagine, like, feeling so high. But once I saw the results, I was like, okay, I didn't know. I'm so glad that I did that, because it was shrinking her tumor. It
mhm,
really was. And there was nothing else that she was taking
mm,
besides just the high doses of the high THC.
right.
Um, so yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. So now you're in Nevada, and Vegas is where
Yeah.
you're manufacturing. Just so do you grow? Or you do everything from seed to product, or?
Not anymore. We used to. When we were in California, we did do everything ourselves. We used to grow, extract, everything. But again, the way that they changed the laws, there's a whole chain of command that you had to go through, and so basically you couldn't be vertically integrated anymore. You had to. So for example, if you were a grower, I would have to go through you now to get my flower, but then I'd have to find an extractor to extract my product. Then I'd have to find a distributor to distribute the product. You couldn't just do, I don't know if that's changed now. It might. We don't keep up with the laws in California. And I know because the cannabis industry isn't doing that great, as great as they thought in California. I don't know if they've changed how that
Also,
chain of
that's what I
command
heard
goes.
too. That a lot of people are going broke in it. We can't do it.
Right.
The industry is getting where it's going to be like Philip Morris controlling it, or some big conglomerate, which is what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very political, and I knew this because we were actually involved in, so like, for example, in Orange County, in Santa Ana particularly, we were very close with one of the people that was pretty much lobbied and was able to get the laws to allow for dispensaries in Santa Ana. And the reason that like we kind of got a lot of insight on how it works with politics, and it's really about who you know and who knows who and who has money, is because they would use some of our own customers to bring these kids in their wheelchairs. They would wheel like some of the kids that use our products into City Hall to petition to the politicians to help change the laws. So a lot of our quite a few, maybe a handful of our customers were involved in really lobbying for some of the laws in some of the counties in California to allow for dispensaries. So, you know, we kind of got quite a bit of insight on how that works. And I hate to say it, but it is about who's got the most money, who you know, and so, yeah, so because of how California changed everything, we stayed in California up until 2021. And it wasn't just, well, once we became a hemp company, we weren't under the recreational laws anymore. But what we couldn't do out there still was get a manufacturing facility, even for CBD. No one, I mean, we would call realtors and they would just laugh and hang up the phone on us. They're like,
Wow.
you're crazy. No one's
Yeah.
gonna, my client wasn't gonna
Yeah.
allow you manufacture.
I've had friends who are going to get into it too, the same type of thing. So,
Yeah.
I got questions now. What about, can you give me a list of some of your products? What's your top seller? And just start talking about your products themselves.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that probably one of our most popular products is maybe like our regular CBD, like our daily 50 and our daily 100 are pretty popular. Our CBG is very popular.
So
So
what
we
are give me the benefits as well, where you're speaking about them.
So like CBD honestly is just, it's pretty broad, right? So CBD, a lot of times people that have never tried cannabis or anything like that, if they go to a doctor, depending on what they're dealing with, most of the time they'll start them on a CBD product, right? And they'll say, okay, try this and try it for a little bit, up your dose, titrate it up. If it doesn't work or doesn't work that well, we'll add in, another cannabinoid. So I think CBD, because it's so broad, there's not just one thing that it works for. It can work for so many different things. So it is I feel like kind of a starting point for a lot of people. But it's used a lot with like autism, epilepsy, cancer. Those are probably some of the main customer bases that we have. I
So,
would say, what was that?
yeah. So do you sell to, like, do the doctors prescribe your product, or do you sell straight to the public, or a little bit of both, or how
A
does it work?
little bit of both. Some states do allow practitioners, medical professionals to actually carry CBD products in their office and allow them to sell it to their patients. Florida is one of them. So we have like, I think we have a couple doctors that carry our product, and then there's one doctor who we white label for. So we make his own brand of CBD products for him in Florida. And then he also refers some of his patients, because he doesn't carry everything that we have. So some states do allow that for them to actually sell it directly to their patients.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, it's just referral. They'll send over their patients to us, and their patients will directly come.
And why Myriam oils compared to other people? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of CBD manufacturers out. I know there's MLMs with CBD in
Oh
them.
yeah.
So there's, it's a really broad supplier-based market now. What's so special about Myriam besides besides your wonderful story?
Thank you. To be honest with you, I don't want to say that we were the first company, but we were definitely one of the first companies out there that started making these oils for, people that were sick. So we were never really recreational. But it's also because of our story, and like I mentioned to you, that in the beginning we were able to connect with a couple of the doctors and nurses that were already working with hemp and cannabis, even a couple years before we got into it. And now they're very well known doctors that recommend our products, like Dr. Bonnie Goldstein. She's pretty well known, like worldwide. She's probably one of the top pediatric cannabis doctors. We work quite closely with her, with a lot of her patients. She has been instrumental in, because of she's so well respected. We've had a lot of medical professionals who, based on her referrals to us, use our products now. So it's pretty safe to say that we have a pretty big following when it comes to like the medical professional community, not just in California, but like throughout the nation.
How many states are y'all in now?
We can ship to every state.
Every state. Awesome.
Yeah, and we pretty much get orders throughout the country.
And how did
But
people generally find out about you? Is it all word of mouth, or do y'all
I,
have a?
I mean, yeah, I mean, initially it's word of mouth. I mean, we've been featured in a couple like we were featured on a couple documentaries, which was one of them was on Netflix. There was
Which documentary was that?
it's called Weed the People.
Huh.
It's not on there anymore, but it was on there like last year, and it was on there for maybe a couple months, maybe. But you could probably Google it and find it. But that was on Netflix. There was about 2 or 3 families that were in that documentary that were using our products. We were featured in the Playboy online magazine once before. We got a few people from that. So there's been a few things as far as like outside advertising. There was another pretty big this was more like an online documentary. It's called The Sacred Plant. But they had a huge outreach of people. So we do get some people through sources like that, but I'll be really honest with you, most of our referral base does come from doctors, nurses, different types of medical professionals.
Gotcha. Do you do trade shows and things as well?
We do. We do, however, we try to stick to the ones that are more like medical professionals,
Right.
like naturopathic oncology trade shows, anything like that. The Cannabis Society of Medical Professionals, they put on actually one that's I think going on soon, or it just might have happened. Usually anything that involves doctors, medical professionals, we try to set up a booth or a table. We've done the regular CBD hemp. We did the cannabis cup years ago. It's just not really our customer base. Like, I guess that's more recreational.
Right.
Those people are not gonna probably really purchase our products versus high THC products. Although some of them do use CBD, it's just not really like the realm that we find ourselves, that we like to do as much more. And especially since we became a hemp company, when we were a THC company, we did kind of more like the high THC shows and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, it's been wonderful talking with you. And what's the best way for people to reach you, find out about your
They
product?
can come directly to our website, myriamshemp.com, just all together, one word.
And how do you spell it, please?
It's myriamshemp.com.
So it's Myriam's plural, or?
Correct, yeah.
Gotcha. Hemp.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. So make sure y'all check this out. Diana has been a wonderful source of information here. I've learned way more about CBD to increase my PhD knowledge of THC. So check her out. And I do have one question I'd like to end up the podcast on. Tell me what you really love about life.
About life?
Yeah.
I think through this business, I've really learned, I love helping people. I don't think there's anything that gives you more joy than when whatever you're doing in life is helping somebody. And so I think that's one thing that I really enjoy, that I've kind of been able to do with this business.
You know, that has been a consistent theme of entrepreneurs on this show. They all have the I love helping people.
Mhm.
So successful entrepreneurs or people who choose to become successful entrepreneurs, take note. Start helping people. That's one of the things we do here too. Success of Encompass Life is directly determined about the success of our customers. So
Right. Oh
when they
yeah, of
have,
course,
of
definitely.
course, they have positive results, have high levels of success, then the company will be successful. Well,
Right, exactly.
Diana, thank you so much for being on the show, and y'all check
Thank
out
you.
Myriam's Hemp and tell them that you heard about them on the Wellness Revolution podcast. Blessings.